On today's show, Secret Lab has Monster Hunter chairs, and I fucking need one. Whoa, wow, that was aggressive. Zoids and Monster Hunter team up to celebrate their anniversaries, and series producer emphasizes game success due to story? All this and more, so don't forget your hot drinks as we start this episode of The Palibros. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of The Palibros. I forgot what I was going to say. A podcast where a group of friends come together to talk about anything and everything Monster Hunter. Of course, I am one of your hosts, and the first to cart, Patrick Jovez. Alongside me, we have the Hunting Horn elitist, Max.
How's it going, everybody?
So tasty, Ryan.
I'm so tasty.
He's one of my oldest friends. He's a very first guest of the show, and his nickname is I need a pot, whatever that means. He's Jason.
How's it going, everyone? Happy to be here.
And if you didn't know, this was like the 5th try, just so you know, just a little making of the sausage.
I jinxed it saying we never do a second take. I'm so sorry.
I know, I'm glad. Wait, I really hope I recorded that, because I'm gonna put all this shit in post. It's really bad.
Get a blooper reel going.
Yeah, definitely. But Jason, welcome to the show. You know, you've been one of my oldest friends since kindergarten. What is your what is your history with Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, I started Monster Hunter back on the PSP. It was my very first Monster Hunter. I think it was Monster Hunter, was it Freedom? Which was basically the port from PS2 to PSP. But yeah, that was my first take. It was actually, I bought that game randomly because I had a gift card, but I didn't have enough money for the game I really wanted. And they're like, this guy was recommended it. He's like, hey, try this game. It's pretty fun. So, and then after that, you know, every iteration that came out, I just been hooked on it.
Yeah. I remember you passed it off to me at like JQ's house once, and I was like, I don't know what the hell this is. Like, why is it hella slow and I was fighting a whole bunch of like.
By the way, Patrick thought he was hot shit back then, so for him to like be indifferent makes sense.
What do you mean
Whatever,
back
bro.
then?
This is a baby game. This is a baby. This is stupid. I don't even care.
Yeah, I was fighting a whole bunch of like Velociprey, and I was like, I don't get it. Here's a PSP back, Jason. But yeah, so welcome to the show. Of course, you're like one of the oldest hunters. Of course, you introduced me to the genre, or introduced me to this franchise that we care about so much. What's your take so far on Monster Hunter Wilds?
Yeah, I mean, Wilds is pretty polished. I wouldn't say polished in regards as like performance-wise, but pretty polished as like combat-wise. A lot of new mechanics. I do like the wounding system, and it brings like a whole new dynamic to how you take your hunts. Especially like I see like speedrunners, like, you know, there's new ways to do speedrunning on it, which is pretty great. So, but yeah, I've been having tons of fun with that. I've been putting in so many hours, unhealthy amount of hours into it.
Yeah, you're a busy man. So let's go ahead and if you'd like, could you share with us how many hours you put in?
Yeah, so
all of the hours.
I have close to about 70 hours right now.
Okay.
I just hit HR 80, so pretty much just been like, you know, been knocking optionals back to back to back, just trying to get everything good build together. I'm a longsword maiden, so, you know.
Boo! Boo this man!
I know, I'm sorry. I'm the degenerate guy, but
Get him out of here.
yeah, longsword's been my thing ever since it first got introduced. I was a greatsword main back in like freedom all the way up to try.
Could have been great. You could have been great. My
We
friend.
could have been friends.
We could have been friends. But yeah, I mean, I still like Greatsword. Greatsword's cool. All the new mechanics in there are awesome. I tried it out a little bit, but yeah, Longsword has just been pretty fluid. I'm like a super min-maxer in types of games like these, so I like seeing, core builds, mix set builds, and that's what I've been, working on in Rise.
Anything specific that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so mostly it's decorations. I just grinded out Uthduna for her gem. That took me about like 60 runs
Wow.
of
What?
just
What?
Uthduna
Only?
just gem. That's all I'm saying. I would just say like desire center. It's like I don't even want the gem. Every time I don't even want it.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta clip that out.
We
have that.
have a ritual where we carve on something we're like, I don't even care, dude. I don't.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's
don't
what
want
I
it.
say. And then it's even more annoying when you hear other people. You hear the little ding that other people get it. It just like makes me meld like so
They're
much. But yeah,
All right.
I'm gonna go hide all my investigations with guaranteed Uthduna gems.
yeah, yeah. It was. I only need the gem for the Arcveld helmet, which is so random that you need a Uthduna gem for it. But yeah,
That is random.
I just finished off my whole set, so now I'm just working on my decorations to get it pretty optimal.
Nice, man. Well, hopefully you get everything that you're working towards. Just a little bit of.
Don't jinx him like that, bro.
No, that's exactly why I said it, because I don't want him to get shit, because he's a dirty fucking longsword main.
60 red.
Fair enough. I also wish you get all the things you look for.
Just a bit of housekeeping for you folks. If you haven't noticed, Brian is out this week. Of course, he got ass blasted by Kungalala, so he couldn't heal and got one-shotted. So, hearts out to him. We'll see you back at camp. So he's out for the week. Also, we're gonna start giving you guys the weekly event quests for each month, starting with the week of March 11th through March 18th. The event name is called Tongue Tied, where you fight a tempered Chotacabra. Some rewards that you get are hard armor spheres and advanced armor spheres. You're gonna fight this thing at Windward Plains. And you have to be HR 21 and up. And we'll go ahead and give you next week's as well, just in case you guys get to this episode late. The event quest is called Ballet in the Rain, excuse me. March 18th through March 25th, you go ahead and fight a tempered Lalabarina. You'll get some glowing orb swords for that one in the Scarlet Forest, and of course you have to be HR 21 and up for that as well. And with all
Sabrina, it makes more sense that it's a ballet. Thankfully.
yeah, not a ballot. You're not voting for this bitch. Now, with all that out the way, let me remind you that this is the Palibros podcast, where each and every episode we try to keep you up to date on the latest Monster Hunter news, play Monster Hunter trivia, and in general talk about one of our favorite franchises. So don't forget, you can get each and every episode on just youtube.com, Spotify, and variety of podcast services. And if you like what we do, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video with friends, and hitting that bell icon to help support us and to know when each of the latest episodes are posted. With all that out the way, let's begin with the latest in Monster Hunter news. Today in Monster Hunter news, we have two stories. Our first story: Secret Lab is selling Monster Hunter chairs, and I desperately want one. You can check out these chairs over at secretlab.com. Craft your armor and get ready to battle against colossal beasts with the Secret Lab Titan Evo Monster Hunter Arcveld, Fatalis, and Rathalos editions. Complete your hunter's room with officially licensed designs created in collaboration with Capcom and forged in the fires of the smithy. Discover custom materials that recreate the unique hides of Arcveld, Fatalis, and Rathalos. From velvety micro-suede that mimics fur to intricate dragon-scale leatherette, every detail reflects the distinctive color and texture of these monsters' hides. These chairs go for $624 for the regular size and $674 for the XL. They also are selling memory foam lumbar pillows with the Fatalis on them and a Palco for $59 each. Have you guys seen these chairs?
Vitalis confirmed for Wilds. Next
There you go.
Next update, yeah.
Man,
Yeah, they look pretty cool. I'm not much of a gamer chair guy, but my interest is peaked.
yeah, man. I mean, they look really they look really good quality. You know, Monster Hunter, everything is so cool. So, and I don't know if you can see in my camera right here, but I got the Secret Lab pillow. So, you know, just give me 1 second. Hey, how's it going, Secret Lab? Patrick here, host of the global sensation known as the Palibros. We have one viewer in France and in Brazil, so we are expanding. I'm gonna need you to come talk to me. You know, check out the office.
Get in at the ground floor, fellas.
Come on.
You know what it is.
You know you want to send me one. Preferably, I want the Palico pillow. I want that.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I want the feline lumbar pillow. Personally.
Yeah, I want that little cartoon thing just like all up in the small of my back.
I would say Secret Lab knew what they're doing with the Arkville Trail chair, because God knows they don't want to make it white for the gamers.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, man. The chairs look really good. You know, I've rocked this Secret Lab chair since I built my PC back in 2017. Of course, I got the XL because I'm a big back. You know, I still use it every day. It's functional. It feels comfortable. Definitely broke it in by this point. And if I had that much money to spare, I'd definitely buy it. I'm definitely thinking of buying the Palco pillow though. That's like for $60. That's, you know. Plus, I don't have one. This one didn't come with one. Mine has like an inflatable like balloon or something that you can like crank up. But I want that little pillow. That's gonna be nice. And moving on to our second story, Zoids launches Monster Hunter crossover to celebrate massive anniversary. This news comes by way of I'm gonna mess this one up. Misael Duran over there at comicbook.com. Takara Tomy has announced a second wave of Monster Hunter X Zoids model kits to celebrate major anniversaries for both properties. Zoids is commemorating its 40th anniversary, whereas Monster Hunter is honoring its 20th. The new toys excuse me, almost threw up there. The new toys are reserved for cross-promotion toys.
Christ.
The new toys are part of Synergenics brand from Takara, a subsection of the company usually reserved for cross-promotion toys. The forthcoming model kits are based on the Mizutsune and Rajang from Monster Hunter, renamed the Gatling Fox Mizutsune and the Knuckle Kong Rajang, respectively, in their Zoids toy form. Both creatures are given a redesign, making them more mechanized and stylized to match the aesthetics of the Zoids brand. The previous wave of Monster Hunter Cross Zoids toys were based on Rathalos and Liger. The Gatling Fox Mizutsune and Knuckle Kong Rajang model kits are available to pre-order through Capcom's and Takara's Japanese web stores. They are priced at 6,600 yen each, the equivalent of $44.75. Oh, shit, I'm gonna buy some of that, and will launch in October 2025. This collaboration announcement comes not long after the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds, the latest entry in the Monster Hunter franchise. Coincidentally, the most recent Zoids anime adaptation was Zoids Wild and Zoids Wild Zero. The Zoids franchise has produced toys since the 1980s before launching its first anime with Zoids Chaotic Century in 1999. Have you guys seen the Zoids toys?
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
There's something funny to me about like the designs of the toys themselves are cool, but I'm not like a big Zoids head.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny to me having like the little guy that's like a jockey like riding on the back of like a Rajang. Like
No, that's just, I think that was just showing that them getting into the Zoid, because they all like ride in a cockpit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was very
my Zoids lore, I guess.
okay. I was very into Zoids as a kid. I actually found all my old Zoids recently. I had like a dozen plus Zoid figures.
now
I mean, look, it's Gunpla light when you're like 10. You know, it's like you can't. Gundams are hard as shit to make when you're like a little, a kid. But Zoids had that little pin mechanism where all the joints kind of came together and you could like assemble it without glue or all these other stuff. They just kind of snapped into place and like had these like little rubber stoppers that like held everything together.
Yeah. When you say you were into Zoids, which Zoids anime were you into? Were you into
the original one. And thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure it was like the dub was terrible, but you know, big giant like robot tiger. I'm like, yeah.
Well,
dude,
there were two at the time when we were kind of watching it, right? There was one that was like a more sportsman like type Zoids with like
Yeah,
you know
it
the
was like
Liger
them.
Zero and stuff like that. And then there was one like that used to come on like early in the morning that was kind of like more serious. Like it was like
I
a
remember the arena one.
yeah. I remember that
was
like the Liger Zero one, right?
Yeah, there was one with the where the main character had a shield liger, and they had like those little dinosaurs that like fused with them to make them stronger. That one was pretty cool.
Yeah, like I vaguely remember that one, but I remember liking the the arena fighting one where it was like a sport a lot. Yeah, that was super cool. Especially that came like shortly after like Beast Wars and stuff. So it was like, oh yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Definitely tapped into a primal part of my like kid brain. I'm like, oh, big monster, go fast, shoot gun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like literally like it's totally meant for like to get a little kid obsessed. I mean, it's like what you might scribble in your like homework anyways, as you're like not listening to the teacher. You're like, oh, what if there was like a robot like lion and it had like a cannon on its back? I mean, so I remember really being into Zoids when I was a kid. So this is a cool crossover for me now. I don't think I'll grab one, but it's cool to see the designs kind of like mesh, like you said. The current Zoids anime, which I have not seen, seems to kind of like be in line with the ethos of Wilds as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Do the toys like transform in any way, or are they just?
No, they're like kind of like Gundams, where it's like the part of the fun is building it. Like you get a kit, and then the pieces will snap together, and then you can like you can assemble them at the joints with these little like rubber stoppers, like I was saying. And the pilots are all supposed to be kind of like in this like whatever the orange glass is. Like that's like a kind of a visual language that they've established, as like the glass is always orange, and that's where the cockpit is.
I remember as a kid, I'd like get a set, build it, and then when it's finally done, I'd try to turn it on because they had a little motor in them. And then if you didn't put a piece together right, it'll just like grind and it'll just make this awful sound.
That means you're doing it right.
It's like I would just like be so frustrated because it just keeps doing it, and I just have to take it apart all over again.
No.
And yeah, that sound will like forever haunt me, and my thumbs would hurt just like thinking about it again because it's just snapping the pieces back together.
Yeah, I didn't have the patience for that.
What? You don't remember that?
No.
They were simplified Gundam kits, but they were still pretty complicated depending how old you were,
Yeah.
No, for sure.
I mean, man, for $44 US, I might buy both of them. To be honest,
we have adult money now. We can do what we want.
I mean, the yen US dollar exchange rate is doing some heavy lifting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yen's pretty weak.
Yeah, definitely. And before we get into our main topic, we have another tip from the Hunters Guild. I am so tired of having to ride my secret around everywhere. Are you tired of having to ride your mount everywhere? Do you wish you'd pop up somewhere closer to your intended destination? Well, now you can. With pop-up camps, getting anywhere is a breeze. Just head to the Windward Plains and talk to our furry friend Tech. He'll help you set up camps wherever you need to. But pay close attention, not everywhere is safe for you to build camps. Sometimes camps may get destroyed by the wildlife in the area. But Tech will always be there to help you set up your new pop-up camps. Pop-up camps, your new camp is just a pop, skip, and a jump away. Pop-up camps. Gee, thanks, pop-up camps! Of course, if you hear that sound, fellow hunters, it means we're all ready to head into our topic of the show. And today's topic comes from an IGN article. Monster Hunter Wilds' popularity is thanks to story emphasis, immersion, and crossplay series, producer says. This is written by Eric Van Allen. Go ahead and head over to IGN.com for the full article and, give them the link. The article reads, Monster Hunter Wilds has emerged as one of the most popular games of the year thus far, setting records for both the series and Capcom. The reason for its popularity, according to series producer Ryozo Sugimoto, comes down to story, immersion, and crossplay. Sujimoto spoke to the Nikkei via Automaton about Monster Hunter Wilds. According to the producer, the biggest factors that influence the new Monster Hunter's popularity are an emphasis on story, heightened immersion, parentheses citing Wilds being fully voiced, and crossplay. It might sound a bit strange, but Monster Hunter Wilds does have a surprising interest in story and why behind all of the monster hunting. Alongside the obvious points like cutscenes and a sizable cast of characters, the low rank section of the campaign moves along at quite a pace. In IGN's review of Monster Hunter Wilds, we noted as much. While the trek to the first credit roll is a little short than you might normally expect, the intent felt like a desire to have more players get through the campaign and see higher end content. It might be working if player numbers are anything to go by. Capcom confirmed that Monster Hunter Wilds surpassed 8 million units sold in 3 days to become the fastest selling Capcom game of all time. At launch, Monster Hunter Wilds was charting over 1 million concurrent players on Steam and helped the Valve storefront to crack the 40 million concurrent players mark. Monster Hunter Wilds is due for its first big post-launch update in early April. Title Update 1 will add a monster of, quote, formidable strength at a level above tempered, as well as an endgame area to gather. Though there have already been patches for Monster Hunter Wilds, they've mostly been addressing bugs and immediate issues. Lot to unpack there. So let's go ahead and start with
Vindicated.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it seems like with their finger on the pulse, well, it is their game. Like the story is kind of like the biggest selling point for us, why the game or this particular game in the franchise has been selling so well. I know we kind of, I don't want to say we shitted on the story
I disagree, but they're saying what they want to say.
Right.
I don't think you can attribute.
I think that's a fair take.
I don't think you can attribute that level of sales to anything 3 days in.
Right.
Like the people buying within the first 3 days of it coming out, like nobody knows what's going on with the story or other stuff. Like that's
they buy it because it's Monster. They buy it because it's Monster Hunter.
Yeah, they buy it because it's Monster Hunter and gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that while I agree, like again, that article aligns with my take of the game pretty perfectly. I do think Max has a valid point. Although I will say that a lot of the times, these developers will get like, some numbers from like Steam or whatever that kind of tell them like how many people have gotten a certain trophy or whatever. So, they could be inferring this from like the amount of people who have completed the game versus how many hours and et cetera, et cetera. And also, I sent you guys a survey like a week back, and the developers openly asked people to like say like what do you like and dislike about the game. So they could be referencing that as well. I mean, they didn't seem to cite any source, but I think
Surely
in one hand Max is right that like there's no real way of knowing this early, and on the other hand like they're gonna have a lot more information than just us kind of outside looking in.
I mean, surely they're working with more data than I am with my sort of gut feeling, but I do think that people that pre-order and get the game day one are not up to date with potentially all the knowledge about how the story is and the in-depth explanations of X, Y, and Z. I will sort of put my conspiracy theory hat on for a little bit here.
Yeah, let's do it.
In regards to Title Update 1. So, looking at the exact terminology used on like the for their Title Update roadmap, they said that prepare your gear and resolve. Title Update 1 will bring with it a monster of formidable strength at a level above tempered. They also say, quote, another challenging monster will also await you, which would suggest that there's potentially a second monster coming in Title Update 1 that is not shown on their roadmap image. Now, my conspiracy theory hat here is looking back at the Zoids crossover. What if it's Rajang?
It makes sense.
The Zoids crossover is Mizutsune and Rajang, and we know that Mizutsune is coming in Title Update 1, and there's another potentially undisclosed monster also coming in Title Update 1. It could potentially be Rajang.
I mean,
I'm just throwing it out there. It could be like one of those things where the product deal is negotiated way ahead of time because they know Rajang's coming out, but Rajang hasn't been officially released in their like official marketing, and so that's kind of like a mismatch with. I mean, it's entirely possible that it could be Rajang, and I mean, if I'm right, I'm right. I'm gonna
Vindicated.
Yeah.
We're about to get copyright
Rajang's
struck.
hard, too. he's like World. He was like super hard. I forgot his variant. Was it Golden Rajang or something like that? But
Furious
he was,
Rajang,
Yeah, Furious.
he
I
was
remember-
crazy.
I remember getting my ass kicked by him up on that mountain in Rise for sure.
I didn't really like World's Rajang that much as a fight. And I know I might get flack for that, but I felt like as the Monster Hunter games have progressed and like the more current gen Monster Hunter games, the monsters themselves are a lot more fluid with their attacks.
Mhm.
And I felt like Rajang was almost too fluid. Like he chained attacks together a little too well. He was going crazy, and depending on what kind of weapon you're using, it was really obnoxious.
Mhm.
I feel like they've generally slowed the game down a little bit in going into Wilds. Like if you compare Rajang to like the Ajarakan,
Mhm.
like the Ajarakan is very telegraphed.
Yeah.
It's much more predictable in terms of like where you are and what it's going to do based on where you are positioned to it. The Rajang then Worlds could just randomly decide like, oh, I'm not going to do the second hit of this move. I'm just going to chain together into this other thing instead. And
I was thinking about that too, mostly because like I do notice like compared to other games that is a little bit slowed down, mainly because they introduced the I would say the clash mechanic, timing,
Yeah.
right, and the perfect dodges, like those would not fly at World. Like you would just get demolished if you like try to do something like that. But I mean, cool gimmick to add, but you could definitely see the attacks a lot better for certain monsters than before, for sure.
Yeah.
I hate to say this for Ray Dow, but I think me and Max were hunting him today. We're like, man, this is such a cool monster, but he's very clearly meant to be like very telegraphed. Takes a lot of breaks between attacks. Like, the way that like the design in general is a lot slower, and even like the really hard, like tempered Ray Dow, like he still isn't like kicking my ass like a Rajang in the earlier games. Of course, in those games, Great Sword was not nearly as defendable and nimble. I mean, you could dodge roll and kind of shoulder charge to cancel through a roar or like something that's about to one shot you. But the new kind of offset and clash, and then the guard being extremely effective and not like taking your health down or your stamina down almost at all, makes some stuff like Rajang really, if it is him, it'll be interesting to play a slower weapon like the Great Sword, because they've done a lot to kind of make slower weapons kind of keep up the tempo with, you're not a dual blades guy, but it'll be interesting to see this iteration of it, if that's indeed what is coming in the update.
We also don't really have any real Elder Dragons yet. And I like, technically speaking, like other than maybe like Zoshia or like Jindahad, I think those might be in game, they might be classified as wyverns. I'd have to double check that. But like there's nothing really in the game going by the large monster journal that's classified as an Elder Dragon.
Well, if
We
we're
don't
going
have
by
Kirin, we don't have any of the classic, we don't have Teostra, Kushaladora, Chameleos, any
If
of the...
if we're going by merch, then Fatalis confirmed. Then, like I said,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
need to bring back Lao Shanlong. You guys remember Lao Shanlong?
Oh god.
that
No, I want Shengo Ren back more than Lao Shan.
I guess there's no big set piece
Yeah.
fights, huh?
Not really, no. Yeah.
I want to shoot a giant 10-foot tall spike or
Those are
10
cool.
story tall spike into the shoulder of a 400-foot tall monster.
I mean, I feel
Dragonator.
the Dragonator, dude.
The Dragon.
They're not as fun to repeat, but the first couple times you do it, like very epic feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I'm kind of glad that there isn't one. I'd say Jindahad is the closest to being one
Mhm.
Sure.
because it's a fight that like is kind of more scripted and takes place over multiple areas where it moves from area to area. It's closer to like a Safi Jiva type fight
Mhm.
where there's no really like I don't know if anybody really loves doing oh my god, what's it even called from World? Zora Magdaros.
Yeah.
Or
Oh.
like
Mountain Boy.
Yeah.
you just climbing on its back, hitting the weak spots on its back. Like it's really not very engaging.
Yeah. Again,
it's one thing that's,
after
like,
the second or
nostalgic,
third time.
there's nostalgia for like a Lao Shan Lung or like the whatever it's called from Try, or even like the there are some that I want to see back, like the Dalamadur. I think is really cool. That I think they could maybe do something with, but
the Dalamadur was like that giant, like snake-like one, kind of.
Yes.
You fight like on like a cylindrical like mountain or something, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I feel like with like the kind of more emphasis on story this time around, I feel like there should have been like some gigantic like set piece monster kind.
I feel like it wouldn't have fit in the story for this. Like a lot of the stuff was like smaller scale, like ecosystem type.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it was centered around like the ecosystem and bringing balance. And it's like some of the stuff like Dalamadur are so huge. Like that's like the epic world-ending level threats of like an Elder Dragon, where like that's like
what is the ecology of
apex predator that how do you even fit that into this story?
That's true.
Maybe you have one who's like literally. Maybe we get a beach biome in the next update, and then the beach turns out to be a big elder dragon, and it's like the entire island is a dragon or something. That'd be kind of cool.
It turns out all the hubs that you're at were you're fighting on top of like a monster this entire time. All your tents and stuff.
I'm just, but I totally agree with Max. It's like the ecology doesn't really scale to something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
Plesios. Remember Plesios?
Unfortunately.
Fight.
What if that's the monster?
There you go. But you weren't here for last week's episode, Jason. I'm curious. I obviously am, like I said earlier on, that I'm feeling vindicated because my take was that I thought the story was pretty decent and like might have led to the general success, but we haven't really got a chance to talk to you about it. I'm curious what's your reaction to hearing the lead dev saying that that's kind of part of the success.
Yeah, I mean, you have to cater to there has to be balance, right? You have one group who are all about the lore and the story, Monster Hunter, and you have the other that are just like hardcore hunters, just like skip cutscene, fight monster, right? So I mean, for me, it's like, yes, I do like the story. It was okay, but for me, it's like, I just want to, see like the new monsters, I want to just get to me as like a person. I just want to get to endgame as fast as possible, right? So, the story was good. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. For me, the story was more so to gauge the new mechanics that you have. Like everyone has, pretty sure they got wiped by the Jindahad white mechanic, right? So
except Patrick somehow.
Nope.
That fool.
I lived. Yeah. I was the boy who lived.
All got quiet.
That was my first death in that.
Yeah,
in
all of us.
First card.
Yeah, and I like how they tell you how to beat it after.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean.
For me, why did you bitches get quiet?
Yeah, it's like a good mix, right? It's like not too long to appease like the hardcore hunters, right? But it's also like itches the brain of the people who like story, right? Who likes story, who likes development, character development, stuff like that. I think it was pretty good. I don't know if like that contributed to the success because Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter, right? It has like a cult following. So
not so cult anymore, but yeah.
Well, that's honestly kind of what I think though is like the reason that they leaned more into it is like they saw the success of World and they're like, oh, we are reaching the non-hardcore Monster Hunter fan. Like we are reaching, groups of people. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they do kind of a Call of Duty style where it's like, one studio makes one game and then like the other one starts to develop on the next one, and then so like every other game is the same studio, right?
That's a little too like inside baseball for me. I wouldn't be able to.
As far as I'm aware, there have been multiple teams working on different style of games.
So I'm pretty sure
Generations Ultimate was being developed, I think, while like the main team was working on World.
Right. So I
think like the World team was working on Wilds, while like sort of the off team was working on Rise, for example.
Which would track too, because Worlds, kind of feels similar to Wilds and had even more. I would say Worlds had more story than a lot of stuff. And like Patrick, you were saying, you prefer the Rise style of storytelling, where you just get like a kind of mythological kind of background, like a cutscene at the beginning, which
and then you
does
just
have
get me into
lore
the game,
and story implications, and then that's it. Yeah. So it tracks that the team that might have made Worlds worked on this. Again, I don't know that for sure, but kind of based on what I do know, I'm assuming. And I think it tracks that they kind of took that story kind of thread and just like extended it and just see where it went. And again, to our point earlier, we can't prove one way or the other, but it is interesting to hear the lead developer and the kind of the mouthpiece of the studio saying like, yeah, it was the story, like that, it wasn't not something.
I think they kind of have a vested interest in saying that, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like, they leaned hard into the story in this game, and so of course the lead developer would attribute that to the direction that they took.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's the producer, but yeah.
The producer, like, they put a lot of effort into the story, and so the game did really well. They're not going to come out and say, oh, all that effort we put into the story didn't mean anything,
Mhm.
Of course they're going to promote the aspects of the game that they personally wanted to emphasize.
You can extrapolate though, right? So it's like if Worlds was successful and then Rise was not as successful, and then Wilds is the most successful game ever, it's like, well, what is the missing piece between those three games? It's like, well, this is the most story heavy one. And I'm not arguing that the story is like the best thing ever, but it is appealing to a casual fan, that there is a player base that they're trying to capture, and I think that they did that.
There's also other factors to consider, like the fact that Worlds launched on like a next-gen console for the first time. Monster Hunter was like crapped on PSP, 3DS,
Mhm.
and which is like, and then Wii U, Switch.
Yeah, you guys remember that one?
Yeah.
What was the name of the Wii U version?
I mean, it was
For Ultimate. Yeah.
For Ultimate, right? For you, yeah.
Or it was 3 Ultimate.
It was 3 Ultimate because I had the one that tied in with 3 Ultimate.
4 Ultimate had internet play built in.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3U, the only way to play online was by playing on the Wii U version.
Yep.
But the point being is that the series was kind of trapped on kind of like a handheld systems for a long time, where they didn't have next gen graphics. These systems were very, very popular in Japan, but they didn't really have the same level of casual players weren't necessarily clamoring to play action games on the 3DS in the West. And so Worlds, regardless of whether it had a story or not, was exposed to a much larger audience by being the first Monster Hunter game to launch in the West on like a mainstream console. Because in Japan, they had Monster Hunter Frontier on consoles for like many years, which was like the very long-running MMO, and so the West had never had any exposure to Monster Hunter on like a mainstream console until World. And so, depending on what the takeaway you want to make from that is, like, World did really well. And so, is that because World had a great story and everyone loved the handler when no one had any problems? Like,
she's no Alma, I'll tell you that.
But I don't think people talked about the story for Worlds, but I think people are at least mentioning the story now because it's more prominent.
But World had a much more prominent story than any other previous Monster Hunter title. And so if you're trying to analyze the success of Monster Hunter World, you're looking at like, well, why was it successful? Is it because it had a story, or because it was like the first mainstream Monster Hunter to come out on a console? And you can draw any number of conclusions. And I don't know, maybe Capcom has more data than we do here, just speculating. But clearly they decided that story was the right direction to go after the success of World.
Yeah.
It's catering to your audience. Sorry, Pabs.
No, go,
it's like
please.
Catering to your audience, right? Like people on the West, they pretty much, most of them right now are like either console gamers or they're PC gamers, right? There's that divide. While people in Japan, like, they cater to mostly their mobile. They're mostly a mobile, gaming like country. Like, most of the people game on their phones, right? So again, to like counter that, like, World, I don't remember much of the World story, but damn, did it look really good. Like, it looked really good on next gen. Like, everyone that I talked to, like, they didn't say that the story was good. They said that Monster Hunter looks really, like, the graphics look really nice.
It's finally in like a good resolution. Yeah.
Right, exactly, right? But
Tobey Maguire putting on the glasses in Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, for me, like, some of my friends, World was their first
intro
game. Yeah, getting into it. And it's like, man.
And we've been behind the bars. We're like, this is the fucking game we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's like spoiled, right?
Yeah.
Like y'all just spoiled, like, you know? Like,
Yeah.
they don't
You
know.
can
They
walk
don't know
while
the
you drink
struggle.
your potion, you bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You understand of being one health and having to move to a different area just to like recoup and like gain your composure back and then go back into the area, load back into the area again.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna die on that hill. I'm gonna die on the hill of wanting that flex animation back.
Yeah. No, me
Just to come
too.
back.
I like how like in a couple of the episodes, whenever we take a drink, we start going. Yeah, I fucking
I
love
miss
that.
just kicking people, like
Yeah.
actual kick.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, there's no like
Yeah,
kick
I miss that.
animation.
yeah, there's nothing.
There was an article that I was kind of teetering on, but it like I don't know if I wanted to like make it a main topic or something like that. But since I kind of brought it up, let's go ahead and talk about it. Like the article basically talks about how Monster Hunter, although it's like doing great story wise and all that stuff, it seems to have lost a little bit of its charm because of how serious it's been getting. They basically bring up an example of how the Palcos don't cook their meals anymore, and that's like a big thing for Monster Hunter, right? Like, whereas like in the story this time around, it's very much like let's gather around like the campfire, let's all get our meals so we like kind of intertwine and like just kind of like coexist with each other from different like camps and stuff like that. And that's kind of like the theme of Monster Hunter overall, is like coexistence. Don't watch the Monster Hunter movie because that's not what it's about. And
That's
so
the
yeah,
movie.
like I guess there's a lot of like fun things that us as like older hunters or like more veteran hunters kind of like misses, like like the prominence of like Palicos being everywhere and doing lots of like goofy and fun stuff, and like kick animations or like emotes. Like it's kind of very bare bones across that kind of playing field, like
Yeah.
for me, every time we used to finish a quest, like my first thing would be to carve the monster and then like just creep far enough past like the monster's like carcass to like hit the kickback animation, and it would look like I was like laying back against it. Like Max
Yeah.
knows that very well. Or like
I do miss upswinging while people are carving it
Yeah.
with my great sword.
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
I
only
missed
time
that
it was a
too.
PvP thing, right? Like, okay, we
Yeah.
finished the monster and everyone's done carving and we have about 30 seconds left. Who's the bitch? Like we're gonna get
Off the hill.
Who's gonna miss their last carve?
exactly.
Because I'm gonna come over and troll you.
Yeah. So like
miss
it's
that.
definitely missing some of its more like quirky things, and that's kind of something I wanted to bring up, and I didn't get to last time when we were kind of doing our thoughts on the our initial thoughts on the game. Was I miss a lot of the quirky stuff that you don't really get with this title, other than like the Chematrice cutscene with all the Palicos. That was kind of like the one
was
fan
great.
service thing for me.
I remember booting out Wilds for the first time, like starting the game, and then my Palico was talking. I'm like, why are you talking?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
ew,
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Why are you talking to me like that? Like,
That was one of the things. That was what I was gonna bring up. That
Vindicated.
really bothers me. Like, I'm glad that it's an option to
Yeah.
juggle, but
I
like,
turned it off real fast. I was
Yeah.
like, why are you talking?
You shut
But
up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, something you mentioned like that, like remember like having to get raw meat to increase your stamina and cook it with the little mini game.
Oh yeah,
Like, I miss that
with the
stuff
music
like
and
that.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I will say though that again, talking about streamlining things and making it more appealing to a casual fan. There are plenty of things that are nice that aren't part of like the grind anymore. It is nice to like have a lot of these systems streamlined so that you're not kind of constantly having to make sure you have enough herbs to make a potion. Like my item box has like 700 potions, and that's almost like excessive, but it is nice that I don't have to like be checking my farm between every single mission to make sure I'm like getting kind of all the little baby stuff done. So there's stuff that's like some of the charm is taken out, but some of it is also just filing down the edges so it's smoother, making sure that it's like a smooth experience for everyone, casuals and hardcore people. There's some stuff I definitely don't miss about the old style.
The gathering is like the lack of a farm is something that I think is less smooth, because you don't really get access to a farm until you finish the story, and even then it's like kind of limited compared to previous games where there are times where like I find like, oh man, I'm like out of something, because like you actually have to go gather. You don't just have a farm that you can just turn to give you every single material that you need for crafting.
For me, it's honey. I need like a shit ton of honey. Like I'm like
well, maybe
honey.
Maybe I'm just a different player, but I'm throughout my entire playtime, I've been kind of like on the way to fight something. I'll like make sure to grab honey or grab herbs or whatever's around me. And your Palico's pretty good about like picking stuff up as you go too. Like if you're in an area and you're not fighting something, your Palico will go grab stuff for you. So I also spent a lot of my high rank time familiarizing myself with the areas and doing all the side missions. And I mean, that's what's replaced the farms, right? Is the item trade menu with Nata. So it's definitely there still. Like you can tell, one of the collectible side quest homies to like go grab you herbs or honey or whatever, and it'll even tell you how successful that is probably going to be. So it's definitely not gone, and I don't think it's like something so egregious that like
it's just a bit more streamlined.
It's just it's different for us, because like we expect like a physical location to go, because you used to like literally have to go to a farm and then climb up a thing and go mine like mechalite ore between stuff, because you needed so much of it, and you needed so much of all this other stuff. But
wasn't there like a tree hitting minigame for like the bugs and stuff?
Right. So I enjoy Nata being kind of like your farm substitute, and it also encourages you to like interact with the world in the endemic life, because if you're paying attention to the maps, it'll say like, hey, rare item upsurge, like go grab it, and there's like one, and then that item can be traded in for like a special cloth that you can like cosplay as each of the villages, or you can like get a really rare cooking item that actually gives you like moxie high or like defense high, like stuff that you wouldn't normally get from just like playing the map. So that kind of going back to the ecology aspect, like replacing the farm with Nata and like the whole trading system is like just looping back in on itself on like rewarding you for paying attention to the world around you. And I think that's like how the game is like meant to be played, and also again makes it a smoother experience than like forcing you to go to a farm, which isn't really kind of the style of this game.
I understand. I agree that it makes it for a smoother experience, but I think personally for me, I did enjoy going to a farm because it was like the circle of life thing, right? You hunt monster, you get the parts, and then you go back to your farm, and then your farm is just like you start off with like nothing, and then throughout quests and stuff like that, you build your farm so that by the end of like your game, you have like this full system that kind of feeds off of each other, where you can like, oh, I'm out of honey, like let me ask this dude to trade a whole bunch for honey, and you'll fill up one box full of honey, and you'll end up getting like 3 boxes, so you could fill up like another thing for like ivy or like nets or something like that. And so I feel like there was like a whole I guess circle of life system mechanic that was like also a side part of the game, and I feel like that for me, like being able to upgrade my farm and stuff like that was more robust and it caught my attention more, to be like, okay, well now I gotta go venture out and do different quests so that I could go back to the Palicos and like upgrade my farm this way, or like I feel like in service of like streamlining things, which is nice. Like you can go ahead and like get Nata and just be like, okay, give me this and that, and then I'll go hunt, and you'll come right back, and there's a chance you'll give me what I need. But like I think part of like the meta, part of like a part of like a side game of building up a farm was also nice as well. And I do kind of miss that, but it's weird. I like both, it's one of those things where I actually do enjoy both. It's different strokes for different folks kind of thing. Yeah,
sure. There's still a progression with Nata though, because you have like one kind of trader person if you just like blow through the story, but if you do all the side missions, you get like 10 people to trade with. So it's like if you're really engaging with every aspect of the game, like Nata becomes really powerful, because you just like like twice twice a day or whatever, twice a PlayStation, you can like go in and he's got like literally hundreds of items for you to like grab, and it's free honeys and herbs and ammo, stuff for ammo and stuff for catalysts, so you can make like mega demon drugs and stuff. I mean, so there's a lot of things that he can provide you, and it does have a sense of progression where you're like, oh well, I didn't have this trader before, I had to go like save his mining operation, and then he's so grateful now he's like, oh well, it's because you've slayed this tempered Chotacabra, and now I can go like back to mining the ore in this area. I'll go grab stuff when I'm out there, and then just talk to me and I'll trade you. So there is, it's definitely different. And there's a visual aspect that is gone, but you still do have a progression.
I will say that I think some of the friction around getting cooking materials might become bothersome, especially once when the game gets harder. Like right now, I'm not going to say it's easy baby game. It's slightly moderately challenging. Like I feel like I've been playing for a long time. Like I'm pretty good at the game. I feel like I can get away with getting like the 30-minute like minimum buff meal every time. Like there's no content right now that I feel like I need like the Moxie High and all of like the really good cooking effects. I feel like once we get to Master Rank, or once we get some really more challenging content, I think it's going to be kind of annoying if you need Moxie every time you want to cook a meal to get Moxie High, you need to go try to find like an upsurge of a certain material and then go hunt the map to get your rare vase so you can trade it for one cheese that will get you the cooking buff you want. So I unashamedly modded Monster Hunter Rise because I was annoyed by the I don't remember what it was called, but there was a system where you could get like level 3 of your first Dongo skill, and like there was like it changed the percentages, or even if you used a ticket, like it wasn't guaranteed to get the skills that you wanted. So like if you're farming like end game content where like you really want to have Moxie level 3 or whatever, like you want those cooking skills, like not getting it basically means that you just reset until you get it. So like if you're in a situation where you like really need those cooking skills, I think the current system might be frustrating later on. Right now it's kind of cool, it's immersive. I think that level of immersion is going to clash with sort of the gameplay ramifications of what that means for end game grinding once it gets harder.
For me, all I care about is is the meal going to give me enough stamina and enough health? That's really I haven't really like fished for like certain attributes or certain power-ups and stuff like that. I kind of just go into my tent, click this, click that, like recommend it, and just cook it as long as I have stamina and health, right? But again, to break it off, like mixing it with a farm and hunting for like the cheese and stuff like that, like in the industry they kind of see it as like you're appeasing two different groups, right? There's one group who likes the vertical progression, right? Just hunt the monster, get better gear, become stronger. But there's also like the casuals, right, who like the story and they like horizontal content, like the farm, right? Upgrading your farm, hunting for the cheese, like min-maxing your meals, stuff like that. That horizontal progression is like kind of like what people want too, but they also need to have that good mix of like the vertical progression will always be there, but it's putting that horizontal progression that is like just right, but not too much where it takes away from the game. So
I think the point is that in previous games, like when you're unlocking cooking materials, it's almost always like an optional quest, and then you get like the permanent unlock of the new cooking material. In this, it's like cooking materials are all consumables, so like you have your super sweet cheese that gives you all these buffs or whatever when you cook with it, and then you get into a hunt and then some rando triple cards instantly, and then now you technically still have the buff, I guess, but it's kind of like
wasted.
It's not entirely wasted, but it's still different than the previous game where like you put it like that's more like a vertical progression where you're going through and building up your kitchen, so to speak. And this, it's kind of like you go through this effort to get like one cooking material, and it's all consumable, which means I'm in the same boat where I pretty much always take the 30-minute recommended. As long as my health is maxed out, I'm good.
I kind of like
I'm afraid of the situation where I start actually needing these cooking materials, and it becomes a hassle to go out and get them.
I kind of like the rarity of it, though. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like that I'm trying really hard to engage in the like this horizontal slice of gameplay, and what a great way of thinking about it, by the way, Jason. It's like that is like I've been holding on to some like high level cheese for a while now, like oh, do I need it now, so it's not quite as rare as a lucky voucher, and but I do kind of like that. It makes you like really kind of think like, is this fight going to kick my ass or not? And for the most part, because if a fight's really going to kick my ass, then that's a different thing. But thus far, I'm not really worried about my armor or my weapons being like the min-max just yet. So I think as long as if I'm not worried about like my armor and my weapons being like the best possible thing they could be, like I'm not worried if I'm the difference between like a moxie low and a moxie high, and I'm just going to keep stacking those ingredients as I can. And when it really matters, then yeah, that could be frustrating. I agree with you, Max, but so far it's not really been a problem. But I would say honestly, my biggest frustration is the some meal items are locked behind like the specialty meals, which I think is a gameplay loop that feeds back into itself in the same way that like the Nata trading system works, where it's all kind of synergistic of like the gameplay loops and like rewarding you for playing not just the main part of the game. But honestly, they feel really rare, which kind of sucks. I kind of wish there would be more opportunity for someone to offer you a meal, and then when they do, like they disappear so quickly. I was literally fighting in Arkfeld earlier, and then I saw a notification saying like, oh, someone wants to offer you a meal, and I was like, okay, cool. I got 10 minutes left on this one. Like by the time I finish, I'll go grab that one, and I'll keep a really good bunch of meal skills kind of stacked up. And then by the time I got back to the place where they wanted to offer me a meal, it was gone. Feels like the specialty meals happen infrequently, and the window to use them is like 10 minutes or less, which is crazy.
Yeah,
it's
that's my biggest frustration.
It's even better when they send you an invite for a meal and then you get there and they're asleep.
Yeah, dude,
they message you at night like, hey, come over for some food, and you get there and their door's locked and there's
some kunafa, cheese, and chill.
Wasn't that a bug? Like they just
be.
weren't showing up?
I think it was.
Yeah. I know there was a bug with that and like the mantles after you like finish a quest, it just doesn't reset. That was annoying. So yeah.
Well, really quick before we all finish up this episode, I just wanted to get a quick like go around the table, like where are we at in our Monster Hunter high rank journey? Ryan, go ahead and start us off with that. Like, what's your HRU and your playtime, and what are you kind of hunting right now?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it a second ago, but I spent a lot of, once I beat the main story, the original credit roll, my immediate instinct was to like do as many side missions as possible, really explore, because it kind of felt like this has been said to death, but the on rails part of the game, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like go around, capture all the endemic life, do all the side missions, unlock all of the whatevers. So I kept like, I never really knew what my HR was, because I just kept like doing so many things that I was always hitting the cap. And I finally got uncapped on HR, and I was like, oh, okay. I was gonna ask you, what do you think the number ended up being between when I finally got the HR uncap? It stops at 40.
Yeah, I'm at 40 right now. So knowing you probably went super ham on it.
I'll say 65.
I'd say 82. No.
Max, I think, already knows. I don't think it's fair for him to guess.
Yeah,
I think he was there.
Okay, what is it?
I was
84.
Oh, I was fucking close.
That's pretty good. Pretty good close.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny how I like how that happens. Like when you cap and you're like, okay, I want to see how high it jumps after you clear a certain segment.
Well, I kept thinking the next mission was the uncap, and then like I did like 4 missions in a row. I'm like, it's not uncapped yet. But yeah, I ended up doing a lot of like the end game stuff. So once I finally got uncapped, I think I'm at like 105 hours or something.
Nerd.
Yeah, well,
nice.
But I was rocking the high rank Rathlos for a long time. As a great sword user, I liked kind of all of the, the punishing aspects that it had. It was like I had lots of in your face stuff, but also really good like evade window and evade extender stuff kind of built in. And I just finally changed my armor set to the to some of the high rank like Raydao Uthduna stuff or New Udra stuff. which was like really good. And I just recently changed it to after the to the the super rarity or whatever, and I'm doing Arkfeld right now. I loved the Arkfeld low rank stuff, so I knew I would be coming back to it. Just all of the great sword kind of aspects of it, where it's like create a ton of wounds and then heal from breaking those wounds. I mean, that's just like a crazy thing with greatsword, and it's like combined with weakness exploit and like flare and all these other things that kind of like stack. You can really fuck up some monsters because you're just like wailing on them constantly and then stun locking them into oblivion by creating a wound, breaking it, and then you're healing at the same time. So it's pretty crazy. And I've also started to get into some of my fashion hunting. So I went for like a futuristic RoboCop kind of like animal thing, and now I'm like full on like I look like a fancy bird right now. So
Nice.
I've been playing with a lot of kind of the layered sets, and knowing that Arkfeld is what's underneath, just messing people up with a great sword.
What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I am, like I said before, I just finished my set. I was rocking alloy all the way through up to 40. So
Wow. Low rank
I'll just
alloy.
Yeah, I was rocking alloy, and then I just finished my set from like farming Utuna for a while. So I'm at I think 3-piece Arkfeld, 2-piece Gore, and then so now I'm just helping friends. Their first Monster Hunter. Some of them are first, some of them are second. So I do have like another group that is just like pretty veteran, so we're looking to do the tempered Gore and tempered Arkfeld together, where they both of them slayed together, so that one's gonna be fun. But yeah, my friends are currently at Gore Magala right now, so they're having a bunch of fun with Gore, so I'm just helping them out, letting them know like how he plays. So it's funny, they keep trying to flash him. I'm like, this is blind. He can't do that. So, yeah.
Anything
anything
specific you like rocking on your like skill wise?
Yeah. So the mix that I'm going with combines the Corrupted Mantle with the. If you don't know, Corrupted Mantle just drains the hell out of your health in exchange for attack boost and affinity. But with the 2-piece Gore and the 3-piece Arkfeld, you get Frenzy, and then the 2-piece Gore gives you Antivirus. So it cancels each other out, where if you use the Corrupted Mantle at the beginning and you get a couple hits in to trigger your Antivirus, it gives you the affinity and attack boost without draining your health anymore. So you can just wear the mantle for free without any negative effect, and been working out pretty well. So I'm hitting like on my longsword, like my slashes are like hitting like 70 or 80s with 100% crit.
Fucking longsword.
So yeah. No, I'm a super min maxer right now. I'm just working on like after endgame, when endgame hits, is basically just like fashion hunter now. So I'm just like hunting for sets where I can just layer them on, so I don't look like just a whole rocking just Core or Magala or Arkfeld set. So what I'm working on now, that and decorations. That's gonna take almost my time.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I'm HR 40. I hit the cap, I believe, yesterday. I've been playing a lot using Steam Link, and it's actually been pretty nice just being able to chill on the couch and just hang out, like, just after the kids go to sleep and stuff like that.
Dark side, yes.
I mean, as long as I have a good connection, it's decent to play the game that way. Yeah, I love playing on my Backbone, and I got it for Christmas thanks to my wife, and just it's kind of nice just not being in the freezing garage playing Monster Hunter. But yeah, I'm at HR 40, got 32 hours in 32 minutes.
Patrick suffers for his art, so everyone knows.
Yeah, it's fucking cold in here. And yeah, so like I'm kind of just rocking all the entire Guardian Rathalos armor set right now, minus the coil. I'm using a Guardian Ebony coil from the Odogaron, and I'm kind of rocking this burst / foray build right now because I love paralysis and poison builds. So foray, I have like a full, I think I have a full like level 5 foray build where it's like you get plus 20 damage and like something percent on monsters that have paralysis or poison built up. And I really like Rock and Burst because, you know, when my charge blade like turns into a chainsaw, it automatically hits for multiple hits and gets me that 5-hit boost on attack as well. So, you know, I'm just kind of messing with that right now. I have a bunch of slots for evasion just because why not? And then just kind of looking forward to like breaking the end cap and seeing where I finish out. And then I'm gonna start looking into like kind of really like messing with like Artian weapons and stuff like that. See how that goes. But what about you, Max?
Yeah, so I'm currently HR 71 with 51 hours of playtime. Right now, I'm still using sort of my interim high rank set that I made midway through. It's like a mix of Blango and the Guardian Odogaron armor for the Burst and Agitator. And right now, I finished the main story. I've killed Arkveld and uncapped my HR, and I've basically just been doing optional quests, and I still have a million of them because I basically never touched them at all through the story. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of armor set I want to use. I might have to consult some people who've crunched the numbers. I'm not as much of a I prefer using optimal sets, but I'm not the one crunching the numbers, the damage formulas and the motion values and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just going to craft a bunch of stuff and see what feels the best in terms of like the balance between comfiness and damage. But I still have so many things to craft. I'm on a journey to craft all the hunting horns, and
which is a lot harder now with the certificates. With the
that's the real game. Crafting stuff is all the certificates. But I basically just I'm looking to craft armor, and then I'm going to need a whole bunch of armor spheres, and then I'm going to be looking for decorations in pretty much that order.
Nice.
Hunting horn is a rare breed, though. That's crazy. I'm surprised you play hunting horn. I've never known a hunting horn main. So
I've been a hunting horn main like every game since.
That's sick.
Since like
before it was cool.
That's why we keep him in the group. He heals us and buffs us.
The pocket healer.
Yeah. Max is all up in there though.
Healing horns are really good in this game. Like really good.
The AoE is pretty good.
It's funny too because like it is such a boon to have someone like that on the team. And I remember recently one point Max was like, "All right, I'm switching off a healing horn, guys. Like I gotta do it." And then he just like, you know, is like going stunning the shit out of an Arkveld or something, and we're all just like using potions per usual. It's like, oh, I actually have to use my stuff. Okay, that's fine. But it is such an ingrained part of the play style that it's funny that Max had to like tell us ahead of time. You know, he's like, just so you know, you're not getting free heals for the next 60 seconds.
You bitches are on your own. And we're like, no, please.
Please come back.
Yeah, hunting horn is a real weapon in this game. It actually does respectable damage compared to other games. I think it's really in a really good state.
Max also suffered for his art. He was doing it when it was not so viable.
Yeah,
I think I've seen like a couple other hunting horn people out there in lobbies too. I'm like, wow, they're growing.
I've seen like one, and then we basically both just played horn on top of each other the whole time. We were so excited.
You have the saxophone horn, because that was cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think I'm gaining more as I'm running out of things to do in high rank. I'm like, I should start, trying different weapons that I've been interested in. So Insect Glaive, I experimented a little bit in Worlds, and I might do that. So yeah, if we have a hunting horn and Insect Glaive guy on the same team, like, minds are gonna implode. I think the monsters will just give up if they're like, this is weird.
I've never fought this before. I don't know what this is.
Like, here, just take my tail. I don't. You guys are freaking me out.
Eventually, I'm gonna switch over to be Hammer or Gunlance, and you're gonna be hanging in the wind. Those are my backup
I have to heal myself. I have to use the healing mantle instead of the corruption mantle now, you turkey.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of the Palibros. Max, Ryan, and our very first ever guest, Jason. I want to thank you guys again for coming out for another episode And of course, fellow hunters, I want to thank you for watching this episode of the Palibros. So don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode and want to keep up with us, you can hit that subscribe button on YouTube, or you can follow us on Spotify or on a variety of other podcast services. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars, because I'm trying to get me one of them Secret Labs chairs. Please give us good ratings. So again, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoy the show, and until next time, happy hunting.